Okay, boys and girls, Todd back here for another 2A talk, and Naperville seems to be the hot topic because it's coming up. Tomorrow night is the first reading of this draft ordinance they have about prohibiting the sale of a wide variety of semi-autos and magazines. So, a city council woman named Theresa Sullivan posted a video that somebody told me about back from June 9th. So I went through it briefly and made a couple of notes and thought that we can go through it together. So if you want to know the mentality of the people that we are dealing with here, that we would go through this, and I'm going to pause the video from time to time, and I'm going to give my commentary on it. So sitting here with a Jack and Diet to help me get through this nonsense. My trusty Marksman custom painted Arctic Cup. So let's get started with this, shall we?
Hello, good afternoon. It's Theresa Sullivan. It is June 9th, and I am going to recap the meeting that City Council had on June 7th. It was not very full of a lot of topics that are interesting to most people. So I guess a couple of things that I was going to discuss, because I think a lot of people are interested in gun violence at this point. There was a proclamation for National Gun Violence Awareness Day that was brought by Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America and the UCC church in town. And it was a day to wear orange, and this was this last weekend, to take a look at what gun violence is doing to our communities. And in that
Okay, let's stop right there. The wear orange thing. So first off, we know the mad mommies have got their meat hooks into the Naperville City Council. But aside of that, this goes against the woke agenda. This is cultural appropriation. You are assuming the orange that us hunters wear when we're out in the field to make it look like a bunch of gun guys are behind your bullshit. We're not. We don't support this stuff. I can count on one hand the number of gun guys I've met who even give a passing thought to some of the nonsense you're talking about. But here again, so, you're in for cultural appropriation. You're trying to steal our look and our stuff. So, yeah, okay. Let's see where else this goes.
proclamation, there were a lot of really sobering statistics about the human toll of firearms and violence using firearms in our society. So, with the
Yeah, you want to know what? We see the numbers every weekend. It's like a bad Bears football game with the numbers Chicago runs up. And what you don't care about the victims of those crimes, because criminals are on this catch and release system in Cook County, and that they are making their way out to the suburbs. And you were probably one of the people who did want Illinois to pass a carry law. You wanted people like Mary Shepard to stay bloody and bludgeoned because your phobias, your projections, your problems with strong people being able to defend themselves. Man, no.
we've had a few things happen in the city recently that, and in the world, in Texas, I guess, in the United States, right, where people are gotten to the point where I think they're really afraid, and they're really kind of sick of this problem that only the United States seems to have. From a city council perspective, there was a law passed in several years ago. I think it was would have been like 10 years ago, where the state of Illinois said no municipality is allowed to make their own rules about guns, except, only the state is allowed to make rules about the having, possessing or owning guns. And so that kind of took out.
Yeah, it's called preemption, councilwoman. Evidently, you don't understand the concept or you're unfamiliar with the term, but it is called preemption. It means the state occupies the field of regulation, and we don't leave it up to your little mini fiefdoms to decide what we can. We are not your serfs. We are not your servants. We are citizens. And the state, you are a political subdivision of the state, a creation of the state, and the state can say, no, you can't dabble in these areas. And that's what they've done here. It was passed in 2013 as part of the Concealed Carry Act that the state was forced to pass because of litigation I was involved in. And so, yeah, you guys can't monkey around on a lot of this stuff, even though you're doing your best to try to find a workaround.
There's a lot more to that story, but I'm just giving you the really like the net of it. But it basically took away the right of the municipalities and home rule, which Naperville is, to do anything themselves about making their own rules about who can have a gun and under what circumstances, and they gave that power to the state.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. That is exactly what this did. This sat there and said, no, you cannot regulate handguns. You're very limited in what you can do on rifles and shotguns. You're damn skippy. That was exactly the idea, that we don't want busybody Karens like you meddling around and trying to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, who gets to have the right of self-defense, who gets to have the right to possess a firearm. No, that's what the Heller decision was about. And evidently, you seem to be woefully behind the curve on what our Supreme Court has said and what's actually enumerated within the Constitution. Now, I'm not letting mental midgets like you decide which of us get the privilege under your world of having a firearm in our home.
And the state has passed some legislation that is trying to help, with the FOID laws and things like that, to try and get dangerous guns out of dangerous people's hands. And I think that that's, what a lot of us, I think anybody who's rational and practical thinks is a good idea. Somebody who is not, it takes these kind of two things: somebody who's not mentally well and has a weapon that lets them do really horrible things in a very short amount of time pretty easily. Without one or the other, you don't.
Yeah, we've tried working on those laws, and every time we have tried to do something proactive and in good faith, your side and the state have turned it on its ear. You have taken advantage of any goodwill we've had, and you have turned that into another gun control scheme. Full stop. That's what you do. But Highland Park's a direct result, and I know this video was recorded before Highland Park, but that's going to come up. That's what's driving this latest thing. But once again, they had the tools, and they failed. Just like they did in Aurora, they failed. Your state police, the state agencies that are responsible for administering this stuff failed. It was an unmitigated disaster. The second one coming out of 2019.
Don't have these problems. So I understand where people are saying it's a mental health issue, and I understand where people are saying it's a gun issue. I think, again, you kind of need them both, plus some other, some opportunity and things like that. I've really thought about this and, talked to my colleagues on the dais about what is it that we can do as a city, as a municipality, to show that that Naperville does not tolerate this type of violence and doesn't want this in our community and wants to actually do something rather than just talk about it. And what's within our purview to do so.
Here we go. This is more virtual signaling. This is more stuff where you're just trying to, telegraph your feelings and, oh, we're so right on this. And that's all this is. This is virtue signaling. It isn't anything more than that. They just have to get it out there that they're doing something. The worst kind of busybodies in the world.
That is something that we behind the scenes are working on. I've taken that on kind of as some homework to do. I've been talking to a lot of different municipalities and along with some other colleagues and trying to figure out whether there is something that is within our power to make a statement so that somebody does. And honestly, can we solve gun violence? Is there anything that we can do, the state can do?
Again, we're virtue signaling here, but interesting. So this was June 9th that this video was recorded. And she said she's already been talking to other people, other communities, other council people from different towns, and some of her colleagues. So they've been doing this. Today is July 18th. So they've been after this for well over a month. Well over a month. And they've been doing this, as they said, behind the scenes. Councilwoman, I wonder if you've ever heard of the Open Meetings Act. I wonder if what you and your colleagues have been plotting behind closed doors runs afoul of the Open Meetings Act. And whether or not there's some litigation to be had there. And to get your hands slapped and potentially cause you guys a whole bunch of angst, because it sounds like from reports I've gotten that you guys are trying to shield this in closed door sessions under the guise of legal work, which when the lawyers are involved, it's supposed to be about litigation. You can talk about litigation strategies and the issues surrounding those. What you can't do is use an attorney work product as a way to subvert the Open Meetings Act, which is what I think you've done here.
Federal can do that would eliminate all gun violence? No, but we can certainly try, and that's something that really is lacking, accountability and responsibility. And
the only accountability and responsibility that's lacking here is on behalf of the state police and the agencies that are charged with enforcing Illinois' myriad of gun control schemes that we constantly have people slipping through the cracks, and your answer is to turn around and punish the rest of us law-abiding citizens who haven't done anything. You continue to prove that no matter how many FOID cards, how many background checks, how many carry licenses or FFLs that we own or possess, it's not good enough for you. You want more. That's what this is about.
I'd like just to see what is possible at a municipal level to help take dangerous weapons out of dangerous people's hands before they do something horrible.
You already have a red flag law. You have declare and present danger stuff. The state police today just released new rules about declare and present danger documents based on their foul up in Highland Park. What else do you think you need?
And I've been, this week we had an officer involved shooting. An officer was actually at a traffic stop, doing just a routine traffic stop, and another vehicle pulled alongside the person who was being pulled over. There was no relationship, just randomly pulls over and runs out of the car and tries to attack this officer with a hatchet in his hand. The officer had to shoot this person to stop the threat, and the person died. When I think about something like that, and having gone through Citizens Police Academy and just knowing what our officers deal with every day.
All right, you went through the Citizens Police Academy. Yippee! Over 18 years in the military. All of my jobs that I held were combat arms. I was a combat MP. We were charged with, convoy security, route security, all those kinds of things. So I actually went through a military police school, not some week-long, don't talk to strangers class. And, that's cute on your part, but you don't have a clue as to what you're talking about. My question is, what are you doing about training for the cops? Let's see what she says.
If that person had had a gun, things could have been very different because there wouldn't be the time that the officer had to actually pull his own weapon out and defend himself.
Okay. This is where you are beyond ignorant, because you obviously don't train with a firearm. You don't look this stuff up. You don't have a clue as to what you're talking about. In my post-military world, I train with Green Beret guys, ODA guys, real SF guys. I take their classes. I sit there and I train with former Navy SEALs. I train with former Delta Force operators and try to get the best training that I can to complete, to give me the tool set to handle these situations. The question is, what are you doing? What are you doing to fund the training for cops? Because I know a couple of your cops, and I know those guys having to take time off and pay for their own training to better their skill sets. I've seen that. I've been with those guys. What are you doing to fund the cops, to give them the ability? Because I've seen that video of the guy with the hatchet. Most competent officers that practice, the guys that I run with, the guys I know, can, once they identify the threat, can draw and shoot. But it's a skill set you have to acquire and maintain. And my bet is that you are more than willing to piss away hundreds of thousands of dollars on your feel-good legislation and litigation than put that money towards the officers and giving them the time and the resources to train.
That's kind of the, again, when I'm thinking about Naperville and how many guns that we are taken off the streets that are illegal all the time in our city. You may not know that, but that's something that happens a lot. It's a problem that our police chief has brought up, and our police officers have, is that they are not safe with dangerous people with dangerous weapons on the street either. I mean, they're kind of the first line of defense. And so I think from the perspective of keeping our communities safe, but also keeping our police officers safe, we do have to look into ways, and somebody has to do something, to, again, draw a line in the sand about what we're willing to accept and what we aren't, about who gets to have these weapons that can cause so much damage so quickly.
There you go again. You want to dictate what we can own. It's not up to you. It is a right. It's my right to own an AR. It's my right to own a modern firearm, a semi-auto, a short-barreled rifle. What I think is the appropriate level or tool to get the job done for self-defense of my home, my family. It's not up to you. You don't get to sit there in some ivory throne and decide you're the policymaker on the subject. It's not. We fought a war in 1776 over that. We said no. It's not happening.
So, I know that there's just a lot of dialogue around this, and I know some people say don't even touch this because, you'll get in a fight. Hold on a second, I'm going to cough. Sorry. But anyway, this is something that's worth talking about. It's worth looking at, and we are doing that, but we're doing it the right way, and we're not trying to do it for political expediency.
I call bullshit. We throw the flag on that one. You know what? You know what this means normally? It means it's too deep to save the boot, save the watch.
Excuse me. we're trying to pass something that's actually going to work. So,
No, you're not. This isn't going to work. All you're trying to do is run a couple of businesses out of Naperville with what you're doing. You have no idea what works.
I'm sorry, I would mute this if I knew how. I'm so sorry. Anyway, have a touch of something. And actually, at the city council meeting on Tuesday, I had to walk off the dais for a moment during public comment to actually go cough in the background for a little while. So I got a touch of something. It isn't COVID. I've tested, but anyway, something. Hopefully, I can finish this. I'm going to take a minute here. Okay. So what I wanted people to know is that there are things that we are working on behind the scenes. Again, from my perspective, it isn't about let's get the fastest thing, the most reactive thing on the agenda right away. Let's do this thoughtfully and methodically so that what we do means something and actually does something for the problem. I'm not crying either.
So remember, this video was recorded on June 9th. This person and her schemers, that's what they've been doing. They have been scheming for over a month. They have been waiting for Highland Park or something like it. They've been waiting so they can go out there and smear the blood of the victims all over their lily white shirts and run around, look at me, we need to do something. That's what this is. They've been plotting and waiting, and with Moms Demand Action being named at the front of this, this isn't an accident that this thing popped out now. They wanted to draft something. They wanted to find something. They wanted to sit there and get all their ducks in a row so that the businesses, the residents, the people this affects had the least amount of time to react and respond to it. That's what this is. I got some serious questions as to whether or not there are violations of the Open Meetings Act here.
God. Guys, I'm sorry. Since this is live, I can't just like turn it off and like start over. So bear with me here.
Starting over wouldn't help.
Okay. But that is happening. So look for that. And again, I can't tell you what it is. Not because it's a big secret, but because I don't know what it is yet.
Because you guys couldn't figure out what you thought you might be able to scrounge up the votes to pass, and you had to sit there and run all your flagpole, or your flag. You had to run all your trial balloons up and see what people would sign off on, and how you could try to corral people without any actual dialogue input from people that actually know something about this subject matter.
I have dedicated a lot of time, and I'm going to keep dedicating time to figuring out this problem. This is something worth doing. And again, doing our part. The point isn't to solve everything, but the point is to say,
if you're not going to try to actually solve a problem, then this is just more virtue signaling, and here we go.
We do have some responsibility, and what is within our legal rights to do to help our community if we can, and also to get a message to both the state and federal about what, again, we are willing to accept in our communities and the amount of risk we're going to put.
You don't get to determine our rights, what you're willing to accept. Now, nobody made you queen, not just for a day, but over anything. No, this is just absolutely more virtue signaling, and they're trying to, obviously she hasn't read New York. God.
But on our children, on our community and the stores and, all the places that you aren't safe anymore. And then especially also to our police officers and our police force. It's
You're not safe anymore? I didn't know that Naperville was Austin or Inglewood or any of those places. I mean, how, I'm trying to find the right words here. Just what kind of mindset do you have to be that you are that afraid to go to a movie theater or a store or anything like that. You must live in abject terror in your mind that, I go about my day every day. Do I carry a gun? Oftentimes I do. What am I afraid of? Not a damn thing.
Very unsafe for them to have people armed who have these weapons they shouldn't have, and bad intentions. So anyway,
It's only unsafe when you handcuff the cops when they're trying to deal with criminals, and you give them all this touchy-feely woke training and all that, and personal pronouns and whatever it is, instead of letting them go out there and train and be cops, be hands-on, and deal with the problem, deal with the garbage that you don't want to touch. That's the problem.
that's that. Thank you, Jean. I see. I probably need to go and get the wild cherry. Helps with that sort of cough. Love it. Thank you, Jean. I'll go get some of that. I need to. Okay. So that's what's going on behind the scenes. And I know there were some people on the dais, some of my colleagues and I, who were thinking, should we say something? Should we bring it up? Is it, what should we do? And again, we chose in the end to keep this out of, to not say things before they need to be said, before we have a plan, so that it doesn't become just another polarized political, talking point. I just think we're well beyond that. I do. And I mean, I know.
I think the word you were looking for there, Councilwoman, was secret. You're trying to keep this a secret. You're trying to keep this hidden from the residents and the businesses and the people in the area, because you wanted your own underhanded way of cramming through as much as you thought you could get away with.
You can make anything political, but let's just do the normal right thing. There's nobody in their right minds who thinks that we should make it easier, or at least shouldn't make it a little harder for people to do such damage who have no business owning or using or buying or selling these types of weapons of mass shootings, if you will.
There's the optimum word, or selling. You don't like the fact that it doesn't matter how many FOIA cards we have, it doesn't matter how many background checks we go through, how many 4473s, you don't like it. You're trying to couch it in that term of dangerous people, and you think every gun owner out there is dangerous. Just admit it. I'm going to save the watch again.
So I'll leave it there. All right, I'll take another drink just to see if I can last a little longer here.
I wonder what's really in that coffee cup. So there you go, guys. That was Councilwoman Theresa Sullivan. And remember, that was recorded over a month ago. So they've been working on this stuff for a while. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't live in Naperville, you need to be starting to call your city council people, your mayor. You need to get on the phone with your alderman or whatever and find out, because this stuff is going to be coming to a town near you. They are out there. Mommies are out there working this stuff. They're in everybody's ear. They are the Karens that are, it's like your homeowners association. It just goes awry. And they don't want the veteran to fly the flag or whatever it is. This stuff is out there. And if we don't, be like Barney Fife, nip it, nip it, nip it. For those of you that are old enough to remember that one. So that's what we have to do. And I think it's going to take litigation. It's going to take some other things. But it's out there. It's a shame we didn't see this video a month ago, but she's just a low-level councilwoman that I never paid attention to before, but we're going to have to pay attention to now. So, guys, that's a little more on my thoughts about what's going on here in Naperville. This is video number 3. So, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Pass this around, share this on your Facebook pages, and any of your other social media. Do all that stuff. This video is a little longer, but we had, 12 minutes of the, I'm trying to think of the right way to describe the woefully inadequate thought process that is governing this by the councilwoman. So, yeah. But, all right, we're going to have some more. We're going to be at Naperville tomorrow. I'll see if there's any other, I got some other issues I'm trying to crank out, but we'll get there. So, again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, pass this around, share this around to all your friends. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Naperville City Council Chambers is the meeting. Be there. You need to sign up ahead of time by 4 p.m. if you want to speak. There's a link in my other video about that. We'll throw that down below. Get to that. And as always, guys, frag out.